Are you booking a cruise and wondering which shore excursions are worth it? I want to share with you the 3 must-book shore excursions and 3 you might want to skip, so here we go. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. When you're booking a cruise shore excursion, the last thing you want to do is book something that you'll probably regret later on. Having gone on many Royal Caribbean cruises, I've certainly done my share of excursions, and most of the time I have a pretty good feeling that I'm not making a terrible choice. But in some cases, especially when I go to brand new areas of the world I've never cruised before, there's a little bit of trepidation about, is this truly a good idea for a shore excursion? And I'm sure that you have those as well. So I wanted to list 3 shore excursions you should probably never book and 3 others that are always a good choice. The first type of shore excursion you should probably skip are city sightseeing bus tours. Now, Royal Caribbean offers traditionally in most places that you visit that involve a city, some sort of a sightseeing tour. Usually this is where you board a bus and they bring you around to different spots where you can, of course, see the most major sights. In some cases, it's literally viewing from a bus, while others, they have a few pre-arranged stops. These tours might seem like a really convenient option, but they're often slow, crowded, and don't allow enough time at each stop. In my experience, you always end up spending too little time at the places you want to spend time at and too much time at clearly tourist traps. Moreover, as your bus is going through the city and you're getting obviously some views from the bus of the various sites and areas, there might be something you'd want to stop and go look at. Perhaps it's a restaurant or a shop or a scenic view, but if your bus isn't scheduled to stop there, you miss out on it completely, and that always irritates me the most about these rather than the actual stops that they assign. Moreover, the actual bus itself, if you don't have an even amount of people in your group, someone's got to sit with a stranger, there's always competition among people who take seats and who's got assigned seats here and there, and it just becomes kind of an uncomfortable situation, both socially and physically, because those buses are very cramped. Now, these bus tours do have an advantage, and if you have mobility issues, they're probably your best way to see a major city, especially in cities that are not very wheelchair or handicap accessible, which is definitely a lot of places in Europe. But if you don't fall into that category, I would really guard against doing those type of excursions. Instead, what you want to do is consider either a private or a small group tour for a more customized and enjoyable experience. In fact, if you're going into a city, a lot of the times you're better off simply just getting into the city, taking a taxi, complimentary shuttle, or even walking into the city from your cruise ship and just seeing where the experience takes you. Have a plan, use Google Maps, but being on foot, or at least in a smaller group, allows more customization of the things that you want to do. You only have a couple hours in this place. You're going to want to maximize it, and I just hate wasting time at things I just personally don't care about. The next type of shore excursion that I just don't love are dolphin swim excursions. You'll find a lot of these in the Caribbean and Mexico, and the problem with these excursions, first of all, they're very expensive and very limiting. In most of these, you can't actually take your own photos. You have to pay the tour operator to take photos for you. Not only that, they're overcrowded and they involve small enclosures that I think is probably fair to say don't provide the best environment for the dolphins involved. Dolphin swim excursions have been really a staple of Caribbean shore excursions for many, many, many years. And while some of the views of that have definitely changed over those many, many, many years, it still remains a very popular option out there. And when you're talking about kids or just people who really, really want to meet a dolphin, I understand where they're coming from in that perspective. So number one, similar to the bus tours, if you can book a private or a small group excursion that does one of these, or even better yet, one that allows you to possibly view the animals in the wild, I feel like it's a much better experience overall. Being pushed in the water by a dolphin for that cliched photo, I get is kind of a thing, but ultimately there are other ways of interacting and seeing these animals. As an example, in Alaska, if you want to see bears or bald eagles, there is a great opportunity in Sitka with the Bear and Raptor Center in which they're rehabilitating these animals, and you also have viewing opportunities. Granted, you're not going to be next to the bear for a photo op, but you get what I'm going with this. There are other alternatives to seeing animals besides in a traditional captive environment. And sticking in the Caribbean, I think there's one more type of shore excursion you should probably skip, and that is a basic beach day through the cruise line. Now, this is found almost everywhere around the world, especially in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, Mexico, and that is when you book a beach day through Royal Caribbean. There isn't a stop somewhere else, or if there is, it's just more of a scenic stop, but really, the point is to go to a specific beach. If your goal is to go to a beach anywhere you're visiting in the Caribbean, my advice to you is to skip these. The problem with any shore excursion through the cruise line that goes to a beach is it is almost guaranteed to be an oversold mess of people. Not to say the beach isn't nice, but there's just too many people that are there. You're much better off researching and finding a beach to go to and getting your own transportation to get you there. When you're talking about beaches, especially in the Caribbean, number one, most of these places are very small to navigate. So it's not like you're driving many hours to get there and you truly have to be worried about getting back to the ship on time. Whether you're talking about Cozumel or Aruba or Antigua or St. Thomas, it's fairly easy to get around these islands and taxi service is plentiful. You're not the first tourist to try to attempt this. So that should be something that you should look at, number one. Number two, this allows you to also go to a very less crowded beach. In fact, my favorite places to go to are actually resorts for a day, in which you purchase a day pass to a resort, which is obviously a hotel operation, and you can get in there and enjoy the facilities, because the beach is great, but having a place to change, having air conditioning in a restaurant, or simply drink service, clean bathrooms, these are all really nice amenities to have, and they're gonna be a lot less crowded because the hotel has limited capacity for who could go there. Even if you want to go to just a traditional beach, you want just a piece of sand, put your towel down, that's all you need, great. There are fantastic alternatives out there and a lot smaller beaches you can find if you research it on your own. Just like the other tours we talked about, the problem with beach day excursions through the cruise line is you're way overpaying for it. A lot of times these excursions cost $50 to $100 per person to access an overcrowded beach with overpriced food and drinks waiting for you over there. So in my opinion, you're better off skipping those excursions and doing it on your own. All right, what about 3 shore excursions you should book almost anywhere? Number one, and I have not taken my own advice on this one, but I recognize that's a really good idea, and that is in Alaska, a helicopter and glacier landing tour. Glaciers in Alaska are the thing to see. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and to be able to see a glacier is one thing. To be able to fly over a glacier and land on them for a close-up view is gotta be an incredible thing. Now, I have a fear of flying, but despite my fear of flying, I really want to try this one, and I've heard nothing but amazing reviews from folks who have tried it. Whether you're an adventure seeker, you want some great photos, or you simply want to experience Alaska's beauty, this is the best thing to do. You can do this at places like Juneau and Skagway, and by far, it is the excursion to do. Now, the problem with these excursions is that they're extremely expensive. Usually, it's like at least $500 a person, but how often are you going to Alaska, right? So this is definitely one that you should definitely book. Number 2 is a cabana at Perfect Day at Coco Cay. And I've talked about this in past videos. Some people kind of take umbrage with it about the cost. We'll get to that in a second. But there are a number of private cabanas you can book at Perfect Day at Coco Cay. There are cabanas in Thrill Water Park. There are cabanas at Chill Island. The Coco Beach Club has the amazing over-the-water cabanas. There's actually new cabanas over at Hideaway Beach, which is the adults-only area. And there's a lot of reasons to book one or the other. Really, when you're picking a cabana at Coco Cay, it's about the area that appeals to you. Like, as an example, if you're looking to enjoy time at the beach, well, then a Chill Island cabana is really good. But if you really are more of a pool person, well, then the Oasis Lagoon cabanas might be a fantastic choice. If you have young kids, perhaps through a water park, you kind of get where I'm going with this. The point is I've generally found the cabanas to be some of the best excursions I've done anywhere else, because it provides your family with a base of operations, great service because you have a cabana attendant that brings you food and drinks to you, and on top of all that, there's plentiful seating, you don't have to compete with anybody, and a lot of shade. And I really like these cabanas for what they offer. Now, the downside is what I already talked about. They can be pricey. So really, when you're talking about a cabana, I wouldn't say you should book the cabana no matter what. Like the glacier landing, that one's gonna cost you a lot of money, but probably because you're not going to Alaska every single year, it's probably a good idea to invest in it if you happen to go there at least once. With Coco Cay, I get it. I wouldn't pay any price for these cabanas. I'd be the first to admit that. But if you can be opportunistic about it, if you can time it with a good sale, because there are actually discounts on cabanas on certain sailings, especially if you can time it with things like the Black Friday sale or other sales throughout the year, July 4th, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Christmas. There are actually discounts available, and if you can get a decent price on it, I would highly recommend it. And the last type of shore excursion you should book are private catamaran charters or sailings on catamarans to begin with. When you're in the Caribbean in warm waters, catamarans are a great all-encompassing type of activity that the family can really get behind. Oftentimes, especially this is true of my family, we're cruising with my kids and other friends and their kids. They're different ages, different genders, different needs. But the great thing about renting a catamaran is it allows, I think, really a crowd-pleasing activity. There are catamarans that'll bring you to all sorts of activities, and the great thing is you can customize it the way you want to do it. Perhaps you're looking for a private swimming spot, an opportunity to see wildlife like sea turtles, fish, or just enjoy time in the water, or maybe have some food and a drink and a snack with some music behind it. it has always been a very entertaining excursion. Recently did one actually in Bermuda, which is very different than the Caribbean, but still an enjoyable on-the-water experience. We had a great sunset. It was absolutely stunning. And we've done catamarans and boat rentals in a variety of different ports, and I gotta tell you, it has been by far some of the best shore excursions I've ever done, and I really think it's absolutely worthwhile. Now, the key here is if you can split it, because oftentimes we were talking about going on a catamaran, especially if you're doing a private charter, is, you're going to need to have, well, more people than just, say 4. If you can split it with 2, 3, or 4 families, it can really make the price far more palatable. Now, how much does it cost? Well, it really depends on what time of year, how many people are going, the size of the craft you're looking for. But my advice is when you're looking for shore excursions, something different, something really cool to do with different groups or families and friends that you're sailing with, this has been by far a home run every single time we've done it. And I got to tell you, this is something I would definitely recommend to anybody who's looking for a really fun and unique type of activity. All right, there you have it. My picks of 3 excursions to try and 3 to skip. Have you done any of these excursions? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're below this video, if you found this video helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more tips. And please hit that little bell icon. That way, YouTube lets you know of a brand new video to share. So few of you have ever hit that button, but you're missing out on being notified when we have these new videos. So you never miss out on any of these great videos we have to share. Thanks for watching. This has been Matt, and we'll talk again real soon.